Welcome to vSkills YouTube channel. In this video, you will learn about the top interview questions for Angular JavaScript. So, let's get started. Question number 1. What is AngularJS and why it is used? The answer is, AngularJS is a structural open-source JavaScript framework that is used to develop dynamic web applications. AngularJS extends HTML syntax and uses HTML-like language as a template for the application's components and functionality. AngularJS uses data binding and dependency injection to reduce the effort needed to develop dynamic web applications. Question number 2. What are the features of AngularJS routes? The answer is, some of the features of AngularJS routes are: first, AngularJS routes enable the creation of different URLs for different content in your application. Different URLs for different content enables users to bookmark URLs to specific content. Each such bookmarkable URL in AngularJS is called a route. Second, value in AngularJS is a simple object. This can be a number, string or JavaScript object. Values are typically used as configuration injected into factories, services or controllers. A value should belong to an AngularJS module. Also, injecting a value into an AngularJS controller function is done by adding a parameter with the same name as the value. Question number 3. What do you understand by string interpolation in Angular.js? The answer is, Angular.js is the compiler during the compilation process that matches text and attributes using interpolate service to see if they contain embedded expressions, such that as part of the normal digest cycle these expressions are updated and registered as watches. Question number 4. What is an injector? The answer is, an injector is defined as a service locator. It is used to retrieve object instances as defined by the provider, instantiate types, invoke methods and load modules. There is a single injector per Angular application that helps to look up an object instance by its name. Question number 5. What is the difference between compile and link in Angular.js? The answer is, compile function in Angular.js is used for template DOM manipulation and collect all of the directives. On the other hand, the link function is used for registering DOM listeners as well as DOM manipulation. It is executed once the template has been cloned. Question number 6. What is directives and what are some of the used directives in AngularJS application? The answer is, a directive can be defined as something that introduces new syntax. They are like markers on the document object model, DOM, element, which connects special behavior to it. In an AngularJS application, directives are the most important components. However, some of the used directives are ngModel, ngApp, ngBind, ngRepeat, ingShow. Question number 7. What is the linking function and what are its types? The answer is, link merges the directives with a scope and produces a live view. However, the link fountain is responsible for registering document object model, DOM, listeners as well as for updating the DOM. And, it is executed after the template is cloned. The types include: first, pre-linking function. This is executed before the child elements are linked. It is not considered a safe way for DOM transformation. Second, post-linking function. This is executed after the child elements are linked. It is safe to do DOM transformation by post-linking function. Question number 8. What is dependency injection and how an object or function can get a hold of its dependencies? The answer is, dependency injection refers to a software design pattern that deals with how code gets hold of its dependencies. For retrieving elements of the application which is needed to be configured when the module gets loaded, the operation config uses dependency injection. Further, the ways that an object uses to hold of its dependencies include: firstly, by using the new operator, dependency can be created. Secondly, dependency can be looked up by referring to a global variable. Lastly, dependency can be passed into where it is needed. Question number 9. What is an ECMAScript? The answer is, ECMAScript stands for European Computer Manufacturers Association that refers to a standard for scripting languages. However, JavaScript uses ECMAScript as a core language. Here, developers can take help of it for writing client-side scripting on the World Wide Web and/or server applications and services. ECMAScript has support several features like the functional, prototype, dynamic, and structured features. Question number 10. What is single-page application in AngularJS? The answer is, Single-page applications can be considered as web applications that load a single HTML page and dynamically update that page as the user interacts with the app. Single-page applications use AJAX and HTML for creating fluid and responsive web apps, without constant page reloads. However, this means much of the work happens on the client side, in JavaScript. Question number 11. What is a controller in AngularJS? The answer is: a controller refers to a set of JavaScript functions which is bound to a definite scope, the ng-controller directive. Angular will represent the new controller object and injects the new scope as a dependency. It consists of business logic for the view and avoids using a controller for manipulating the document object model. Question number 12. What are the rules of a controller? The answer is: the rules of a controller are: firstly, the controller is used for setting up the initial state of the scope object and add behavior to that object. Secondly, it is not used for manipulating DOM. It should contain only business logic and can use data binding and directives for the DOM manipulation. Thirdly, controllers are not used for formatting input but can use Angular formed controls. Next, there must be no use of filter output but we can use Angular filters. Lastly, controllers are not used for sharing code or state over controllers but can use Angular services. Question number 13. What is representational state transfer in AngularJS? The answer is: representational state transfer can be defined as a style of API that works across HTTP requests. The requested URL detects the data to be operated on, and the HTTP method detects the operation that is to be performed. Question number 14. What is transclusion in AngularJS? The answer is: the transclusion in AngularJS allows developers for reallocating the original directive children into a defined location inside a template. The directive ng shows the insertion point for a transcluded DOM of the nearest parent directive, which is using transclusion. ng-transclude slot or ng-transclude directives are mainly used for transclusion. Question number 15. What is filters in AngularJS? The answer is: the filter is a module provided by AngularJS that is used for modifying the data and can be clubbed in expression or directives using a pipe character. A filter formats the value of an expression for showing it to the user. They can be used in view templates, controllers, or services, and we can easily create our filter. Further, there are 9 components of the filter provided by AngularJS. They are: currency, date, filter, JSON, limit to, lowercase, number, order by an uppercase. Question number 16. What is an auto-bootstrap process in AngularJS? The answer is: Angular initializes automatically DOM content loaded event or when you download Angular.js script is to the browser. After this, AngularJS find the ng app directive that is the root of Angular app compilation. And, when the ng app directive is found, AngularJS performs the given steps. Firstly, loading the module which is linked with the directive. Secondly, creating an application injector. Lastly, compiling the DOM from the ng app root element. This process is known as auto-bootstrapping. Question number 17. What do you understand by services in AngularJS? The answer is: AngularJS services are the singleton objects or functions used for carrying out specific tasks, such that it holds some business logic in these functions which are referred to as controllers, directives, filters and so on. Question number 18. What is the latest version of AngularJS? The answer is: the latest version of AngularJS is version 1.7.8 as of March 2019. The latest version of Angular is 8.2.13 as of October 2019. Question number 19. What is Angular Material Design? The answer is: Angular Material Design is a design language for web and mobile apps. It was developed by Google in 2014. It is an adaptable system of guidelines, components, and tools that support the best practices of user interface design. It makes it easy for developers to customize their UI while still keeping a good-looking app interface that users are comfortable with. Its initial focus was touch-based mobile apps, now it extends to web design. It defines the qualities that can be expressed by UI regions, surfaces, and components. Question number 20. Where should one use form action instead of HTTP for accessing a method on a server? The answer is: form action should be used at a place where the server-side method takes the control to some other view, in other words leads to redirection, whereas HTTP request should be used where the server method returns some data. Question number 21. What is the scope in AngularJS? The answer is, the scope is a model for a controller and helps the controller in interacting with the view. Question number 22. What is MVC in reference to Angular? The answer is, AngularJS is an MVC-based framework, where the model for a controller contains data, the controller for a view contains the logic to manipulate that data, and the view is the HTML that displays the data. A scope can be considered as a model, whereas the functions written in Angular controller modifies the scope and HTML display the value of the scope variable. Question number 23. What is two-way binding? The answer is, two-way binding means that when data in the view is changed, the underlying model gets updated automatically, and when a model from the controller is changed, the view gets updated. Question number 24. What is Angular training? The answer is, Angular training involves getting to know Angular open-source JavaScript framework and developing web applications and single-page applications using Angular. Angular training should also include assessment and certification of your skills and knowledge of Angular open-source JavaScript framework. Question number 25. Which is the most stable version of Angular? The answer is, the most stable version of Angular is the major version being released by Google. The major releases of Angular are version 2, version 4, version 6, version 7, and version 8. Question number 26. What is the difference between Angular and AngularJS? The answer is, the differences between Angular and AngularJS are, AngularJS is JavaScript-based, whereas Angular is based on TypeScript. AngularJS supports MVC architecture, whereas Angular supports components and directives. Dependency injection in AngularJS is injected into various functions, but in Angular, it is hierarchical dependency using providers, declarations, and more. For data binding, the correct syntax of ng directives for event or property is needed in AngularJS, whereas in Angular it is more intuitive. For heavy data-intensive applications, Angular is faster as compared to AngularJS. Question number 27. What is the purpose of root scope? The answer is, root scope helps in communication between different controllers of an application. AngularJS can have only one root scope for an app. Question number 28. What is React.js? The answer is, React is a free and open-source front-end JavaScript library for building user interfaces or UI components. It is maintained by Facebook and a community of individual developers and companies. React can be used as a base in the development of single-page or mobile applications. Question number 29. What is the difference between React and AngularJS? The answer is, the difference between React and Angular are, AngularJS is a structural framework for developing dynamic web apps, whereas React is a JavaScript library that allows you to build UI components. AngularJS is based on MVC, Model View Controller, whereas React is based on Virtual DOM. Question number 30. Which is better, AngularJS or React.js? The answer is, React.js is easy to understand and execute, but on the other hand, AngularJS is difficult due to third-party syntax and libraries. React.js works on Virtual DOM while AngularJS works on regular DOM. React.js support JavaScript while AngularJS support JavaScript as well as HTML. For more such videos, subscribe to our channel.